Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being a viewer and subscriber, folks. I want to get you caught up with all of the information that's coming out from the White House, all of the information that's coming out as far as stimulus negotiations are concerned. And please watch this video all the way through to the end, because there's a big breakthrough. There's a big reveal, if you will, from one of the Republican senators, Shelley Moore Capito. She's a Republican senator from West Virginia. She was actually speaking with President Biden. She was one of the 10 Republican senators speaking with President Biden. She said something big about what the White House is likely to do. Welcome to our channel. Let's take a look at this headline on your screen from the Wall Street Journal. Biden meets Republicans to discuss their stimulus plan. There's a $1.9 trillion stimulus offer from the president, from the package, the proposal, if you will. That's a lot of money. And down here, you have the $618 billion plan from the Republicans, which is a third of what President Biden is proposing. Folks, here's another headline on your screen, this time from Politico. President Biden takes a fine if we get it approach to bipartisanship. In other words, hey, he's saying if I can get us to cooperate, I will. Otherwise, we'll just do something through reconciliation, which is going to be a messy process, but it still can be done. As you can see from the headline on Politico, the president and his team believe the benefits of action far outweigh the perceptions of working across the aisle. They also remain scarred from the Obama years. What happened during the 2008 economic crisis is President Obama's team cut back on the stimulus that they wanted because they wanted to get Republican support. And they believe that hampered the economic recovery. So this time they want to go big. They don't want to repeat the same mistakes from the past. Here's another headline on your screen. This time is from the Washington Post, and the headline reads, Biden and Senate Republicans hold lengthy meeting on COVID relief bill. The senators did sound hopeful when they came out of the meeting, but we'll have to wait and see whether this is just another kumbaya moment or whether we'll actually see some bipartisan agreement. And folks, here's a headline from the New York Times which reads, Republicans pitch President Biden on smaller aid plan as Democrats prepare to act alone. The president did meet with Republican senators. It was a long meeting. They did speak for 2 hours, and the Republican senators proposed, like I said, a much smaller stimulus plan. $618 billion, the Republican proposal, $1.9 trillion right there, which is what President Biden wants through the American Rescue Plan. And congressional Democrats are indeed pressuring President Biden to proceed with the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. Now, I mentioned that West Virginia is going to be extremely important as far as stimulus is concerned. An important Republican senator from West Virginia, Shelley Moore Capito, actually revealed something that was quite significant, and I'm about to show you the clip right now. She did speak with Fox earlier today, and she said that the president is open to more targeted stimulus checks. That's what she said. Now, there has been some new reporting since that happened, and I'll give you that information as well. So make sure you watch this video all the way through to the end. But she also said, when she was asked to comment on the Republican governor from West Virginia, and his name is Jim Justice said, let's just throw away some money right now. Doesn't matter. Who cares? We need help now. She said, hey, if you're a governor, you're definitely going to need more money. It's nothing new that governors would want more money. So she essentially, took a shot, if you will, against her own Republican governor in her state of West Virginia. Pretty interesting comments. Let's hear what the Republican senator from West Virginia, Shelley Moore Capito, had to say about the president's willingness to potentially do more targeted stimulus checks, as well as her comments from the Democratic senator of West Virginia. I call him the conservative Democrat, Joe Manchin, and her comments about the Republican governor from West Virginia, Jim Justice, and how all this ties into the larger picture about stimulus. She did reiterate that, hey, we want to do something targeted. We don't want to waste money, which is consistently what the Republicans have been saying. Let's roll the tape and hear from the Republican senator in West Virginia.
Didn't say that he wouldn't support a reconciliation package. That was pretty clear. But he was open to the suggestions of targeting individual checks to folks in the lower income and lower and mid-income area. Our like areas of vaccine and testing, we're all in the same boat here. We did try to impress upon the president that we thought the quicker way to get this would be through a bipartisan package of where we have common areas. And I think he was amenable to listening to that, but he has a whole nother side, of course, he's listening to as well. But here's where I think the bottom line is. I think it starts a conversation with us that I think will carry through into other things, and for that I feel really good. I do think that we need to work on this COVID together, bipartisan, as we have in the past. Let's hope that meeting last night had an impression on him and them.
Here's your governor back in the Mountaineer State, Jim Justice, a Republican now. Watch. We need to understand that trying to be, per se, fiscally responsible at this point in time with what we've got going on in this country, if we actually throw away some money right now, so what? We have really got to move and get people taken care of and get people back on balance.
I don't know a lot of people are going to say so what when it comes to spending money, especially in the Republican Party. Where does that comment come from, do you believe?
Well, I've never been a governor, but I bet all 50 governors would say the same thing. Of course the governors want more money. Our governor still has another $600 million that he hasn't spent from the first CARES package. So I think that being fiscally responsible is the way that we should look at this, making sure we're taking care of the folks that are really hurting. So I think the governor is reflecting his wishes of, sure, I'd like as much money as you'll possibly give me, and if I ends up throwing it away, guess who gets to be the one who decides where it goes? And I'm not sure that's quite the way we see it at this point after 5 packages.
So with your fellow Senator, Joe Manchin, being a key player for the White House in this, do you think that he aligns more with the governor of West Virginia or with your position?
Well, I know for sure I'm not going to speak for Joe Manchin, but I will say this. I know he's for targeted relief, particularly on the stimulus checks, so that people getting $300,000 whose lives haven't been impacted are not going to be getting a stimulus check from the United States government on our taxpayers' dime. That I do know. After that, he'll have to speak for himself, which he does quite well, I'll say.
And folks, as I was recording this, some breaking news just came in from the Washington Post. Here's a tweet on your screen from Jeff Stein from the Washington Post. And Jeff reports that the White House confirms it is not open to lowering the stimulus checks under $1,400, although it is open to looking at income thresholds. So this is super interesting. We could potentially see $1,400 checks go out to people making less money, which means the cost of the stimulus package would go down. But they are not, the Biden administration is not willing to go below $1,400. And folks, speaking of West Virginia, you've heard me talk about Joe Manchin before, the conservative Democrat. He was asked to comment on the vice president being on a regional network in West Virginia and sort of leaving him out of the loop. You'll see this tweet on your screen from Jake Sherman over at Punchbowl News, and he's quoting Igor Bobek, who essentially quoted Joe Manchin, who said, "There's no apologies needed. I mean, we are all in this. We understand that it was a mistake. They made a mistake, and we understand. We move on. You can't dwell on those things." And folks, this is big regarding stimulus. Joe Manchin, the conservative Democrat, just said this. You'll see this tweet on your screen from Burgess Everett, the co-congressional bureau chief of Politico. Manchin says, "I will vote to move forward with the budget reconciliation process because we must address the urgency of the COVID crisis. But let me be clear, and these are words I shared with President Biden, our focus must be targeted." Folks, the stage is being set on targeted stimulus relief through budget reconciliation. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. You'll get a link to all of our resources in the description section below. Please give me a like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would really appreciate that because that does help out the YouTube algorithm. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.